Hello, my friends, and welcome to a new episode of the Unofficial Meme Live Tutorials. Today, live or live on tape if you watch it later. Today, the topic is one document for one show and 5 documents for 5 shows. But this isn't necessary. What is typical for a show? A show is full of images and full of text, and the difference between all the formats is very tiny, isn't it? So the idea is to create a document which can be used and reused, not reused, used, but with another type of skin. Yeah, so as you can see, here is a format, and for all my trainings, I'm able to change on the fly before the show, or also during the show, or even during the show, the format. I will just change it for a second that you can see what happens. For example, one of my live formats is called Mein Deutschkurs sprechen. Translated, it's My German Kurs talking. So it would look like this. Yes, now everything changed a bit, also the background design and things like this. But what will we do today? First of all, I switch it back. So what are we going to do today? We will have a look onto a multi-show document, let's call it like this, and also a bit about the scripting. We will have a look on the scripting around of this. The scripting is very modular, so adding a new format takes 7 minutes or something like this in my case. But what can you see? First of all, I have to show you my switch panel, or in other words, the web control panel, that you can see how it will look like. So I place in to this document now a view of the screen. I bring in my switch panel so you can see what I'm able to see. I'll just bring it on the correct size, so it's much easier for you to follow. So is it inside the borders? Yes. Okay, this is, yeah, I have 2 panels. The first panel I use is this. This is my configuration screen. Here I can decide where I want to stream. Currently it's set to Unofficial Meme Live Tutorials, but I can change the streaming destination always before going live. Yes, and there I can place none for local recordings, for example, or on a manual streaming destination which I put or enter in before going live. And these are all presets, so I have a default format. These are courses for several language levels from A1 to C2. This is a special timeline. This we will talk, or this we will discuss later. It's called the quiz. Then I have my German course correction and private lessons, and the talking I mentioned before, and also some seminars, all different streaming keys. Yes, streaming keys, so I can plan all the streams in advance. I can also choose to place the stream simultaneously, or yes, onto Facebook. Here it's always a manual. For me, it's always a manual destination, so there are no further presets. But what is this here? This is when should the pre-show start. I can decide here between AM and PM, and it's a sleep until, and then everything runs automatically. Here I can set the duration of the show. Currently it's set to automatically. I want to break it somewhere later whenever I want. Then I can set 5 minutes plus a reminder of 1 minute and 30 seconds before the end. Then 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. This is my default running duration. Then I have also 60 minutes and 90 minutes and 120 minutes, but with 5 minutes reminder before ending the show. In my case, it's necessary to know when the show ends, and this 5 minutes before, because I have to give homework, and so we have the reminder and enough time for homework, so I place this inside. But after the pre-show, what should happen? There are 3 macro buttons which tells the pre-show which imagery setting should be used while the first few imageries. These are scripts, and these scripts are changing the things that you can see on screen. For example, here you can see at the moment my Zoom recording, my my screen recording of Zoom, and I can change this to whatever I want. Here I have the second panel I mentioned before, and as soon as I click here, you can see instead my wonderful overhead camera with a piece of paper and my arrow. Yes. I use this in live trainings to show properties like a remote control, or even a training book. Yes, and here we can do these exercises together. For most of it's too tiny to read, but this doesn't matter. It's just to give all the persons who join the lessons the chance to follow the lessons better. Yes, because they can see, okay, we have here number 3 on page 17, for example. Yes, and I'm also able to mirror myself or unmirror myself. I just go back to the screen recording. Here I have a button to place myself, to bring myself to normal, and to mirror myself. As you can see, I'm switching the persons. Regularly I'm mirrored because it's much easier for me to interact with the audience when I mirror myself. You know this all, I think, yes. But sometimes it makes sense to have it normal, especially when I turn my face into the direction of this overhead camera. And now I have several buttons which are very important because these are part of automatic switching. I can place here in the the overhead camera, and I can bring in some kind of B imagery. So this happens, yes. So I have this and that simultaneously here, and I can show here something while I'm talking to someone on screen. But when I turn my head to the image that shows the book, then I can turn my image to normal mode, and I can bring my mirrored image back when I talk to another person, and I don't have to irritate myself while I do a show or while I do a training. Yes, but there is more. As you can see, I just turned the B mode off again. As you can see, here is also a keep aspect ratio button, and this is necessary for 16:9 image. When I turn this on, all these automations here will, yes, how should I say, take care about that the image is always kept in 16:9. And for computers, it's very important. For all what I do on screen, it's very important to have it in 16:9. But when I have a Mimo call and a Zoom while the same session, I can deactivate this button to bring them in a cropped position and to have more image. Yes, but back to the main configuration panel. After I've chosen the standard imagery, the image configuration, I choose the format of the show. Currently, it's set to unofficial Mimelife tutorials. But when I have my quiz, then I choose another thing, and this is how many rounds does this quiz have. When I have lots of time, I place it to 20. When I have less time, I place it to something else. And this is also interesting because I can change my t-shirt color. This is a nice play around, yeah. And at the quiz, the color of the t-shirt is changed every round, and some of the participants think that this is a very funny thing. Okay, so I can change my t-shirt. Yes, it's just a keyer that changes on the fly the keyed color and no the transparency that is left because of the keyed color, and so yes, my t-shirt gets other colors. Okay, so then now the main panel. The pre-show is started automatically at this selected yeah, point of time, but I can also start it without delay. So when I use this button, the pre-show starts without any delay. Then when I set everything, I can open my other switch panel and turn the hot button on. When I turn the hot button on, everything else is running automatically. Currently, I've just one image activated. This is the image A. I could include the YouTube comments. Currently, nobody wrote something. Yes, but here I will show it to you. Would be any comment placed. Hi, guys. Yeah. And so the YouTube comments will come into the image. Here I can always, here I'm able to see always the last few lines. In other formats, much more interaction is happening. So I can see always the newest line at the bottom. And I think the t-shirt does not match the show. I think I will place it to this. Yes, so. Okay, so here you can see automatic switching. There are with this kind of setting, so A, Z, and myself, yeah, I'm Joe, Johannes. This type of automatic switching is pre-configured. I did a script which changes every 15 seconds a matching view. So what else can I do? I bring in B again. At B, I configured my overhead camera, so there is lots more happening automatically, and I keep the aspect ratio of 16:9, so it is guaranteed that nothing is cropped except B, because B is always zoom in a regular showcase. Yes, so this is the reason why I yeah, let it happen like it happens. But when I deactivate the 16:9, other views will be used to switch automatically. So every 15 seconds, the imagery is changing. Yes, so Z is included. So this is the reason why the comments are directly in the middle. When I deactivate C here, this view is yeah, simply switched off and changed by another one. It's very handy because I can talk about the subject and I don't have to have a look onto the images, and this is really handy. Okay, so now I keep aspect ratio again. I put in Z, and as you can see here, maybe I should make it a bit huger. I exclude the comments for the moment. So comments are excluded. Hello. Hmm. I don't know what happened. Hmm. Um, I switch it on again and switch it off again. Interesting. Ah, there could be that I do not have a how should I say, a script which is exactly using this configuration. This could be. So I turn keep aspect ratio off and try it again. So let's push out B to get it bigger. Yes, so here we are back again. And yes, here I can change the colors of the t-shirt again. I can turn it one further. It's just a cycle through variants, yeah, and then the color is changing. But what is this here? This I need to place an additional title while the show. So I can change it. You notice I can here write this, and then I can write there something else. And when I press this or that button, it leads to some kind of stinger transition and this title, and it brings everything back to me in full screen. Let's test this. Yes, and it works. The t-shirt changed the color again, but this is my type of styling. And yes, there is also lower third which is brought in. As you can see, the automatic switching works. It brought me back to the configured images like they're here configured. At the current setting, just A is being used together with myself. When I switch myself off, this happens, and it brings the image in some kind of full screen mode, and I can bring back myself just by clicking this button. Yes, so how does everything work? I change the image to Mimolive itself. I bring in Mimolive. So what do we have here? At the top, at the very beginning of the document, there are the playheads. This is an abused layer. I use this layer to control live recordings. As you can see here, I'm also able to record Zoom directly and MimoCore 1 directly. When I press done, everything switches automatically to a replay mode, and currently there is no API signal to play and stop and rewind the last recording, so I have to switch it here at these at this window. But what is this? The t-shirt rotator is responsible for my t-shirt. So when I click this button, the t-shirt changes. And what is it doing? I have here at the sources a t-shirt test layer. No, source. It's simply a text layer. When I open it, you can see it better. It's simply a text layer. There is no text inside, but there is, I bring it more up so you can see it better, but there is a constant color. Yes, I could implement this directly into the keyer, but, and now there is the big but, I don't trust changes at the keyer directly. I don't know why, so I brought it into this. And at the chroma keyer, at the first chroma keyer, I will open this. And at the first chroma keyer, I use this as a backdrop. 1 second, here it is. Yes, I use exactly this t-shirt test source as a backdrop image, and the backdrop image color, this here, hopla, I have to bring it more up. Okay, here. And this color is replaced by a script How to do this? Just set the color to whatever you want. Let's add a line. Yeah? Just set the color to whatever you want. Here is the color palette. Let's choose, for example, a very pink one. No, let's use this. It does not, it's not to be allowed to be too blue because the second keyer is keying it out again. So let's use something like this. And let's call this color crazy Yumimo Tuts color or something like this. So now I have to click with the right mouse button directly on that label here. And here I find three options: colors, API key, URL to read the color, and copy URL to change the color. I choose this option, and then I add a line here. Okay, so let's do a new variant of the script. And let's call it Hoppla. Yeah, let's call it Hoppla. Okay, Hoppla crazy Yumimo Tuts color. Okay, so what is the first thing we have to do? We have to replace this by using a command which is called HTTP request. HTTP request, and these brackets are necessary. Within the brackets we will copy exactly that, what we want to change, so what we copied before. So when I now click it, it doesn't work. We will get an error here. This is because there are some very, very important spaces missing. I don't know if it's a bug in MimoLive, or if it's a bug at the automation layer, or if it's a bug in the type, the language JSON, the description language JSON is being used. But what do we have to do? We have to correct this string here. Let's remove it again, and I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so first we open Safari, because we need something to decode this line. It's URL encoded, so I suggest to use some kind of URL decoder. URL, okay, you cannot see it, just a second. So URL I just search for URL decode online, and I use URL decode and encode online. So first I want to decode this. I paste this here, and then I press on decode. So here is the result. And there are some spaces missing. So you can see here, I remove all of this. So you can see here input values colon. After the colon we need these space that it works. So then it's some kind of proper JSON. Okay, so this is everything we have to do. Then I copy this again, and I turn the mode to encode. Then I paste this and encode it. So now we have here everything from the update we need, and now I have to go back to the original one I pasted before. Hoppla. Let's go to the original one, because I have to paste the new encoded part into here. So now I can copy everything of this. I can leave Safari, and now I paste this into here. Okay, so now let's hope it works. Yes, it changes the color. Okay, so what is the script doing? The script is just doing changing the color of the t-shirt. And what is the next script doing? It's a rotator. This script is rotating just the colors from the previous layer. And how is this being done? Let's see. Let's take a look here. While live, the t-color cycle should happen. This is a variable I defined here. I open this so you can see what it is doing. Yes. So t-color cycle is an API endpoint. How to get this endpoint? I just clicked here on the right button and I copied the layer API endpoint to the clipboard, and because of the cycle I added /cycle through variants. It's an API code and endpoint, and you can see which endpoints you can use by reading the API endpoint documentary. Yes, so I defined here t-color cycle. I also defined t-cycle done. Whenever the script is done, I want it to jump to here. So later, when another script is based on, I can check, is it done or is it not done? When it's placed on done, please do it, otherwise not, or something like this. Here, simply, the cycle is just done once, yeah, t-color cycle and t-color done. It's just done once. The first is opening the cycle and the second is just jumping on done. This was my debug. I tested simply if my code works. Yes. So this is not needed anymore. Yeah, but I leave it inside because for me it's important as a documentary. Yes. So this is the key. The how should I say, the change of the t-shirt, and everything else is based on similar techniques. For example, here are some semi-fixed patterns. So this is the code to show the title, to show myself alone, and this is the code to show the title myself and then myself together with the comments. Yes, I just show it whatever this script is doing. I click it. Yes, and it's bringing me with the comments. Okay, the window of mimoLive is too huge. It's bringing me together with the comments into the image and onto the first screen that I want to show. Yes, then there is another script. I call it dynamic show jingle, and this is simply showing the jingle together with a line of text, and these are things I need for other timelines like the quiz. And there are several counters. When I want to have 30 seconds and 1 minute, I just press my button at the control panel. I think I should show the control panel again, so you can see here is a clock, and these scripts are simply connected here. So when I click here, something like this happens. You can't hear it, but I can hear it. I can hear a beeper on my ear which tells me when it starts, and it's now. After 1 minute and 30 seconds, the counter vanishes. I can switch it off immediately if I want. I can break it here. Yes, so it when it's just out of the picture. But these are possibilities. What is the next thing here? For my trainings, I have several macros like very good and amazing. Yes, so when someone did something very good, I can click this. And when it's outstanding or amazing, I can click this. Here at the control panel, I have simply these two buttons. I can also have this without any insert or overlay, so I can use it in other contexts. Then what else can I do? Let's go further. Binary results. So what is this? Here I have some layers beginning with 0 and ending with 15. So I have 16 states here. And these are status, yeah, 16 states. And these 16 states are here to automatically switch all the image that you can see. And or you want to bring into the show. So what is this doing? I've here a so-called logic automation layer, and this is including all the binary logic. What is the logic binary doing? The logic binary is searching for some conditions and then changing the status. I don't know which number is shown up when I change these BBAAZZ Joe button, as you have seen before here, but I know when I click here and for instance the BB button, this will be shown up, and I'll change it again to this here, because the logic of the script decides what of this will be shown up. So if A and B and C is showing up, then it's 15. Yeah? When one of this is missing, it's 14. And there are all combinations with all combinations built inside of this binary result. So the image combination, which switches everything every 15 seconds, or at least updating the view, is being done inside of this. And I just call some layer sets. Let's see if there is a more complex one. What do we have here? Yes, for example, or this is more complex, I think. Yes, so I will show you this. So while live, several things are happening. I bring in the window so you can see better. So what is this doing? First of all, the first layer set in the change is called. Then it seems 10 seconds. Okay, it's 10 seconds, not 15. Then it's switching off something that I want to be switched off, and it's recalling something else that I want to be switched on. And this in case if something else is happening. This if here is the aspect ratio button. Yeah, so this view is just included when the aspect ratio is fulfilled. So when it's off, it's included, otherwise not. So what do we have here? Then we have a next view and another view, and only if the aspect ratio button is off. So you can see here are 4 changes when the aspect ratio button is off, otherwise there are just 2. And this logic here is just checking, is this on or off, is this on or off, or is this on or off, or is this on or off, and this in combination. I will show you the binary logic. So this is constantly checking This is very important that it is being done constantly. At the very beginning, when this is turned on, a standard imagery switch should happen, so it's included here. But this is the logic while live. So yes, I think you can see it good or well. I just expand it outside so there are no line breaks. It's easier to have a look on. Okay, so what do we have here? If layer is on Joe, no, if layer is off, then Joe is 0. If layer is off CZ, Joe is 0 and CZ is 0. If layer is off AA, then Joe, ZZ, AA is 0. And if layer is off, so BB, then we have the binary complete. Yes, 0, 0, 0, 0. And there, the first status when everything is on 0 should be switched. And it's just switching to the result layer, binary result. So every auto switch is happening inside of this. When I change this, it will be changed automatically back because the configuration does not match. Yeah? When I click this, for instance, or this, yes, it's always immediately being switched back because the logic is taking care about the correct imagery. This normally doesn't happen. Yes, this cannot happen because while a show nobody clicks here the results. Yeah, so but as soon as it changes, it's immediately bringing it back to this configuration. Yes, and so we have B off or on. And otherwise, we have Z on 0, but A on 1, and so on. And this is simply the logic. And the more components you have, the more complex this script will be. And I think about doing a generator for a script like this. So it's more easy to get to a code something like this. But what else do we have? This is the workaround keep aspect ratio. It's just there to have. It's not really a part of the binary switching. Yes, it's just a 1, 2, 3, 4-bit binary switcher. It's not a 5th bit, but you could do it. Yeah, you could implement it directly as a 5th part of the logic. So it's much easier. What is WebTrigger Zoom doing? I cannot open this up because there are passwords inside. So let me explain what it is doing. When I want to have Zoom publicly available, HTTP request sends something to my server, and my server knows, okay, so the public streaming URL for Zoom is now active and people are able to join. And the same thing I have for Mimo Call. It's like a dial logic. Yes, if it's available, the person who wants to join the call will be redirected to the call. And if the session is full, they get an excuse page or try it again later page. So what is the next doing? Live recording Zoom. For this I have to show you the output destinations. There at the bottom I have a record Zoom and a record Mimo Call output destination. This is recording some clips just onto the desktop in a special folder, and this is also doing, just simply doing a record. What is it recording? It's the Mimo Call resource recording, and here the Zoom source. and the script is just responsible for the handling of the recording and the play and the start and things like this. So as told before, this is regularly used for Zoom. So let's start the Zoom recording by clicking on start, and let's talk a bit about nothing. The script is now pending. It jumped from here to there. And as soon as I click stop at the control here, at the done, this script will be activated and it automatically jumps to play afterwards. Let's test this if it works. On start, and let's talk a bit about nothing. Normally there the script you could see is now pending. It jumped from here to there, and it's switching automatically as soon as I click stop at to whatever is control here at the done. This script will be activated and you can hear the person jumps to play afterwards. This is the recording if it works. Yes, and now it's faded out because the last recording ended. Yes. Start, and let's talk a bit start it again. So when we missed something, I can start it again. Is now pending. It jumped from here to there, and as soon yes, and I can interrupt it with whatever I want. I can also place a default image into that as a placeholder when I click it by chance, for example. Okay, so let's turn back to the live view in some kind of full screen mode. What else is happening? Yes, the same is possible with MemoCall. Yes, and now we have two scripts which are very important: stream to Facebook and stream to Facebook configuration, and also stream to YouTube and stream to YouTube configuration. At the very beginning I showed you that I'm able to take a choice what stream should be used. For every stream I currently use an output destination. Later I want to change it to variables. Yes, that the streaming destination is overwritten and I just have one streaming destination or two streaming destinations in total. But currently I use several output destinations, and at the output destinations I configured predefined streams, and these streams are planned in advance. Except of the unofficial mimolive tutorial stream, there are no planned streams currently, so I used the basic one. But what is the script doing? Let's have a look at the Facebook stream. So it starts. First it sleeps 1 second, then it starts the stream to Facebook output destination and it turns on a special layer, and the special layer is the pending layer. In the pending layer nothing happens, or variant, but at the stop variant the output is turned immediately off. Nothing else is happening. The stream Facebook URL or this API endpoint is simply configured as a global variable, and so it's dynamic. And the configuration is defining this global variable. So none means nothing is set, and I wish there could be a null output destination in mimolive. Currently I use or app use an output destination which is normally an audio output destination, but I have to have a output mix with nothing inside, so it's a completely muted output, but I wish there could be a null output destination which would react like everything else, yeah, like all the others. You can turn it on, you can turn it off, and you can check is it on or is it off. But what do we have here? As you can see, um, as you can see in a moment, streaming YouTube unofficial Mimolive tutorials is streaming. So this is currently the live stream to YouTube and to my page, the unofficial Mimolive tutorials. These are the settings, so the quality should be great. And as soon as I click on stop, and this I don't do now, the stream would end, yes, because it's configured like this. As soon as I would click here stop, it would stop it immediately, because the first action is, wait a second here, because the first action is output off, and the variable is stream Facebook. No, it's here stream YouTube. This is the current used stream. I could open immediately one for Facebook, yes, because Facebook is not used currently, but when I click here on stop, everything ends immediately. So what else? This here is a pass-through of my audio, because I have also funny voices at the show. And yes, I will open it. I use Logic for this, and I can open some funny voices. And when we do trainings about telephone calls, it's an option. I just switch myself to Helga. Hello, hello. So it's a funny play, yes. But this is simply turning off my voice and bringing it to Helga, and or bringing it back to myself. And I click this here, yes. When I don't want to have automatic switching, I can pause it every moment, yes. But let's go back to our topic. So what else do we have? This is all the audio I use. It's configured for my shows, and here is the handling for the pre-show sound bed, and for the sound mode, yes. Maybe you mentioned the pre-show before. The audio is turned slowly off, and then the show starts. There is also more. I have some jingle with audio only. There is the applause you heard before, and here this content is changed on the fly. So whenever I want to change the complete show format, also this content is changed. If you want to have another content inside, you can do it easily just by changing the content, yes. For instance, this here, then you would right press the button, and you would copy to change copy the URL to change the source, and you will place it into a script. Yeah, and so you would be able to change this on the fly. I will change it back to that what we have now, and this is responsible for the change. For every change of the of this content, I have an own variant of the script. I do this because I want to switch everything simultaneously. Everything I want to switch simultaneously needs an own layer. So when I want to change the pre-roll, the background design, the front design, and the text for the show, or the signet for the show, I'd need for every change a separate layer. When I want to activate this, I call this API Canon. So it's like a Canon. There are several shots placed at the same time. And at the layer sets, I will show it to you. I combine these changes. For instance, here the unofficial Mimo Live tutorials. What is being changed here? The same time is set the pre-roll and the sound bed to unofficial Mimo Live tutorials. It's just a variant name, yeah. And set dword flying text to unofficial Mimo Live tutorials. Set foreground text. This is this at the here at the corner, the text at the corner, to the unofficial Mimo Live tutorials. Set the foreground basically of top out, so the background and the foreground are moving together with everything else. Set it also to the unofficial Mimo Live tutorials. Set the foreground bottom to unofficial Mimo Live tutorials. Set the foreground bottom out, so the out transition also to the unofficial Mimo Live tutorials in the style of the unofficial Mimo Live tutorials. And nothing else is being done. Yes, except for the background. This is the background image. You can see here at the background. There are also several positions, so it's more movement inside of whatever I'm presenting. There is a so-called top-out position, a background full screen position, a background so-called bottom position, and a background bottom-out position. And I think I will just click the layer so you can see what's happening when this is changing. So let's go down to the layer for this. Wait a second, here it is. This is the background which is then being changed, 4 different styles. So the background is slightly moving. If you can see this in the background, whenever it's changed, the background also changes a bit, yes. But when how should I say, when it should be changed, these sections have to be changed to the same background simultaneously, so that there is no delay between the switching. So for the change I need 1, 2, 3, 4 script layers. And these script layers, 1, 2, 3, 4, are placed directly under it. And when I want to change this, I just sleep here 0.3 seconds because I want to start the pre-roll or the jingle first, and then I want to do all the changes when the image is covered. So unofficial Mimo Live tutorials is here, and a layer set is responsible for the simultaneous switch. So all the scripts related to changes are started the same time. Let's have a look how this looks. I will open the layer sets, and here I have some layer sets like jingle and skin to A1 or jingle and skin to default. Let's press this, for example. Yes, so what has been changed? The text in the corner, the cover, the background, and all the different kind of positions. So let's test these positions. For this I turn off the automatic switcher, otherwise it would be switched automatically back. Yes, and now let's do some test switchings. I switch all the imagery except the A image to default, and now the top out position. It looks like this. Then the covered position, the screen is covered, and I used this for the transition. As you can see, these parts are all covered. There is also a bottom out transition, and I can bring the cover in and myself back. Now I switch on the A again, so my screen recording, which normally is used for Zoom, and that you can see what I do here. So these buttons are active all the time, and when auto switching is turned on pause, I can click these whenever I want. Yes, so there are several things happening, but I have to have a look onto the switching board here. Yes, but all of this here, or everything that you can see and everything that is related to the design is changed by changing the design. So here are connections to the layer set. So when I click this again, everything is changed again. So the foreground, the background, the text in the corner, and several other things with this technique simultaneously. Yes, what else is important? This here. I switch back here. So I have here Z, A, and B. Z is the most overlaid overlay, yes, behind of the cover, of the covered, of the foreground of this here. And when I want to change whatever you want to, I want to have inside of this element that you can currently see, I just click, for instance, this button. Yes, and this is Mimo Live, currently on the laptop. And yes, now you know the secret, my t-shirt is green. And this is the reason why I can change the color of the t-shirt. Yes, but this is the laptop in front of me. And this laptop is one of two laptops I use. There is another laptop, I place it back to Zoom, or for instance, this switch panel. I can also switch it to the other computer. It's a MacBook Air, placing that what you saw at the pre-show. Here I've all text outside. It's much easier to turn whatever the next show is when it's separated from Mimo Live. So it's simply graphic. For this I use, how should I say, Keynotes. Yes, because Keynotes is very handy for this. Yes, there is another or additional view. I will show this. This was Mimo Live on the other computer, but I can crop this image also a bit because for my shows I need a cropped version. I don't want people to see which technique I use. So I will switch between these two, then you can see the difference. So I open Keynote again. Not Keynote, Pages. So I bring this in the full screen mode. And now you're able to see all the technique around of this text here, whatever it says. It's for this afternoon. And when I press the next button, it crops everything out. So I can present, I can show things, I can use all the things that the program allows to use. I can also change colors and things like this, but nobody knows how I do this. Yes, I can combine this with mouse pose, for example, but it's not yet started. It's just for you to see how it's being done. Yes, it's just a cropped version of the incoming capturing of the MacBook Pro. So, and what about multi-view? I have to insert this into the multi-view. I just insert the cropped version because when the cropped version is inserted, the other version, the full screen version, which is based on, is automatically also not being switched off. And I don't need it for viewing purposes, so I just have the cropped in version inside. The same with the MacBook Air. There is also a cropped version just being kept alive, because the full screen version is, as mentioned, automatically also not being switched off when this here is active, so it's kept alive. And here are some other things which I don't use at the moment, like the Facebook comments and the Mimo call and the Zoom call. Yes, currently the Zoom call is showing what Mimo Live shows, but I mentioned this before. Okay, so let's go back to this panel. Here I can switch audio for all. Most of the time audio is switched automatically, but it makes sense to switch this by hand. So automation should not harm the switching of this. And yes, how is this being done? With the same technique as with the background I showed before. So for every view, I have to set the images the same time, so that there is no delay between, how should I say, between the first change and the last change. Yeah, while the show, here are my macros again, some default scripts. Yes, when I get confused or something like this, I can bring it back to the view, that what you can see, to some basic configurations, and this is just by clicking this. Yes, for example, while the quiz show, I need, how should I say, the MacBook Pro in full screen mode, and myself mirrored, and maybe Zoom. Yes, when I have live participants, so Zoom is pushed on B, and on A is pushed a full screen MacBook Pro, and the comments, because it's a public show, are pushed on place Z. And sure, everything else is then switched automatically, but when I confuse myself by clicking whatever, then I can click this, and it's automatic being brought back. So I think I should open Keynote, because Keynote is the containing the quiz, and let's have a look onto the automatic quiz. I can start this now. I don't have to stream it directly onto the quiz live stream. I can use it here. So I will open a demo. I click now on the default quiz button, so we have the quiz here, for example, or for instance, and what is the plural to the word Käsekuchen, and the German language uses nominative, genitive, dative, and accusative, and this is then the question with the possible answers, and the people can reply with A, B, C, or D directly in the live chat. And the quiz runs completely automatically. It starts with some kind of let's close the door and insert the number of the round. And let's do this. For instance, I simply click now at the quiz timeline, the button for the first round, and let's just simulate 2 rounds, and then you see what happens. Yes. When it starts, I hear the beeper to know when the transition is, and yes, lots of fun. Yes, first there is an introduction to the quiz round. I talk about the upcoming question and reply to some questions here. Then I read this. Wie lautet der Plural zu dem Wort Käsekuchen? Im Dativ lautet der Plural zu dem Wort Käsekuchen. Muss. Is it A1, die Käsekuchen, or 1B, den Käsekuchen, or 1C, dem Käsekuchen, or even 1D, der Käsekuchen? Yeah, you have 1 minute and 14 seconds time to reply. Use the chat. Yes. It runs like this. Then lots of people are replying to the question. Between 20 and 50 persons replied yesterday at the first question, and it's very, very funny. And after this, what happens then? Automatically the sound bed stops. Then the transition for the second question is started, and finally everything starts over again. So I can talk to the audience, my t-shirt is changing the colors and things like this. So let's wait for the last 20 seconds and then I will solve this. Yes, so whatever the correct reply to this question is, in 9 seconds we know the answer. And can you hear the clock tick? And the correct answer is 1B, den Käsekuchen. Wie lautet der Plural zu dem Wort Käsekuchen? Im Dativ lautet der Plural zu dem Wort Käsekuchen den Käsekuchen. Maybe the next question is more easier. Let's have a look. Yes, now I come back into the image. As you can see, the color of my t-shirt is changing. The lower third comes into the screen, and then the new question appears. I will stop it now, just because I don't want to have now everything included, like the counter, the sound bit, etc, etc, etc. So let's stop the counter just by hand. As you can see, the switching is happening automatically, and this helps to keep the eye directly on the camera. And now I bring Mimolive back into the image. I just click the button on the, how should I say, screen? No, switching panel. And I will stop the automatic switch. I just push this Z out. So, okay, so now we are back. The quiz, as mentioned, is running completely automatically, but what is being done in the background? First of all, I have a general timeline. The general timeline is handling the show start, the during the show, and the end of the show. And at the very bottom, there is the basic timeline. Here it's waiting for wait until. It sleeps until a special moment. Then it starts the pre-show. The pre-show is doing some things between the 5 minutes of pre-show, and then the show starts. And after the configured time, it ends and starts the post-show, and finally everything else is being stopped. So the streaming is stopped afterwards, and lots of other things. It's reconfiguring it to the basic configuration, basically. And there is another timeline. It's called quiz timeline. And whenever it's set on quiz, it starts the quiz timeline. First I have the high, then I have round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, and it's always jumping to the next step. So in my configuration, I have here 1 round to 20 rounds, or when I forget it, it's automatically set to 14 rounds. Yes, this is the standard configuration. And how should I say? It's checking, am I on place 4, and is 4 the maximum amount of rounds? If yes, then jump to the end of the quiz. Yes, it's a simple if, and it's looking like this. Let's use now the script for 12 rounds. I open it again as before so you can see what's happening. Okay, so first of all, automatic switching is placed on pause. Then the beeper is started, that I know that the transition will come in 10 seconds. Here the beeper is started. Then audio sound bed is quitted. Then the audio jingle alone is played, and the cover is turned up. Then the text will come. I call this the rest is being done. Then the script should wait for 3 seconds, and the basic view, so myself, is placed onto full screen. Then the auto switcher is automatic switched on again. My name is placed with the lower third, then the script is waiting for 6 seconds, then the aspect ratio button is switched on, because while the quiz position A and position B are placed on a 16:9 device, and the aspect ratio shouldn't be changed. Then the countdown is being started. It's an own script which is handling this separately, so I don't have to put every time 20 lines inside of this. First of all, I hear the beeper again, that I know that the countdown is starting. After that, this countdown script is starting, the 1 minute and 30 seconds. Finally, the audio sound bed is started. Then 90 seconds later, the audio sound bed ends automatically, also the counter. And additional 10 seconds later, it jumps to the next round. So this I have in while live. I know this is just being done once. Yes, it's just being done once, but to have it better separated, I put it here into the while part, because at the end it's interrupted automatically when it is played once. At the end it jumps to the next part. But there are 2 options. The if statement, I will show it to you. Okay, so when the layer is at the configuration is also on 12, then go to goodbye, and otherwise or else go to the next step. Sure, I could use a circle through the variants, but what if I change something in the script? There I don't want to have an automatic circle. I want to or cycle. I want to have a predefined layer which should be opened, or layer variant which should be opened. Yes. So again, I check if layer is on 12. It's not the timeline. It's the configuration. Yes, when it's on 12, then breakout. So this is the quiz configuration. It's placed directly underneath. Yes. So how many rounds do I want to have today? I can place it between 1 and 20, and after every round it's checking, is it now time to break out and to go to goodbye, or should I jump to the next round? Yeah, this is how it works. And what else do we have here? The show duration. Yes, the show duration automatic does have an, how should I say, here it is. Automatic does have a ridiculous high amount of runtime. So I can break out of the script whenever I want. Yes, so here the show duration is set to 21,600 seconds, for instance. I don't think that I will stream so long. Yes, but this is just for compatibility. Yes, because everything else is using real amount. So 5 minutes plus 1.5 minutes security border. The security border is warning me and the audience that the show ends in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Is set like this. Show duration 300 seconds. Show end reminder set to 210 seconds. And which show reminder clock should be used? So this clock will be opened. It's the 1 minute and 30 seconds clock. And there are some more, how should I say, sub configurations that will be used by this timeline. The show timeline is using the show duration and related things, and there is a second timeline, a sub timeline, which is called timeline end reminder, which is running separately and starts end reminder. And here you can see that it sleeps as long the show end reminder value isn't run out. Do we say this in English? Is this a new word? Well, I don't know if it exists. I hope you know what I mean. Then I force off the clock. Yes, there is the end. There could be a clock running at this moment. I force it off and restart it, set it to another value. And these values here are the first things I set, and then there is the real change here, and the real change is being done once, and it's jumping to the next step. Yes, so what is the next step? The next step is end reminder actions, and end reminder actions, it's very complex, but what is it doing? It is playing the end warning, and afterwards it ends the show. It sets the show to show end. And while live is turning it off, and when I turn this layer or layer variant by hand off, it's doing exactly the same thing. Yes. So then there is the kick out at the last as a last action. So the clock is kicked out, and also the show is ending. Yes, and what does this mean? It jumps then to end show. So the jingle appears, and lots of other things are being done in the background. Then it starts the post show. The post show is nothing else as a copyright screen, and is meant to be to place other videos on YouTube after the show end. And yeah, and finally streaming stops automatically. Okay, have I forgotten anything important to mention? Let me think about. No, I talked about the t-shirt, I talked about the quiz rounds, how to change the format, and also the camera image, whatever should be placed on position AA or BB or CZ. I talked about the show duration, so there are two scripts. This is just the configuration, and the script is started on pressing the hot button. Yes, and here is the hot button. As you can see, the hot button is now turned off, and it is hot means that everything is running. This is just a reminder for me that I know which format is currently running. This is fade to black. I can click on fade to black whenever I want, yes, and I can bring back whatever I want on any time. And the button next of it is cut to black, so cut to black is also possible. And this is yeah, some kind of functions which are very handy, not only during the show. So okay, this was my walkthrough through the show. I bring last time again back my control panel just to show you for what this button is. This is for the pre-show. Sometimes I want to talk with the people while the pre-show, so I can bring myself in or out. It's just the only reason for this is the pre-show. I don't want to use this while the show, and I also don't want to use this kind of view during the show. And for all automatic shows which have no specialized show duration, this button comes into the place. This button is the stop show by hand. So whenever I have a show which is not ended automatically, I can simply press this button and I'm out. So thanks for watching. I hope that it's more clear to do a show something like this. And if you are interested in more detailed tutorials, just give a beep. Please write a comment and ask for special things. So thanks for watching and have a nice day. Goodbye.